Welcome to this explainer on efficient by design. Today, we're diving straight into Chapter 5, which is all about a concept called mapping. If you've ever watched your team enthusiastically sign off on a massive software contract or a huge hardware upgrade, only to absolutely hate it 30 days later, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to look at exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it before the ink dries. To help you avoid these costly implementation disasters, we're following a 5-part agenda today. We'll cover the forecasting trap, the mapping solution, a monitor case study, a disaster recovery case study, and we'll wrap up with the 300-second test. Let's jump right into Section 1, the forecasting trap. So, why do smart, data-driven executives routinely make terrible decisions when they rely strictly on spreadsheets? Well, it's not a lack of intelligence. It's actually a glitch in human psychology known as affective forecasting error. Basically, this is our brain's tendency to predict the future as a quick, painless highlight reel. When we evaluate a proposed system, we imagine the absolute best-case scenario. We completely fail to simulate the mundane daily grind. The repetition fatigue, the clunky software, the physical discomfort. We overpredict the joy of an upgrade and entirely miss the future pain. And this error is heavily driven by something called focalism. Focalism is when we obsess over the shiny, obvious features of an option. We see phrases like unlimited storage or bigger screens on a proposal, and we just hyper-focus on those abstract numbers. Meanwhile, we completely neglect the literal pain in the neck that might come with setting up those screens, or the hidden limits buried deep in the fine print. Moving on to Section 2, the mapping solution. The architect behind fixing this psychological trap is Dr. Joseph Caccitolo. He's an organizational psychologist and operations executive who spent decades investigating workplace inefficiencies. He approaches business problems a lot like a detective, and what he discovered is pretty profound. Broken systems, not bad employees, are usually what drive errors. When good people make bad decisions, it's simply because the system fed the wrong part of their brain. To fix affective forecasting error and focalism, he prescribes a behavioral tool called mapping. Mapping forces decision-makers to inhabit a concrete, physical slice of the future state before any money actually changes hands. It takes all that dense technical jargon and translates it into a felt, sensory experience. It totally disrupts our optimistic assumptions by forcing us to feel what the future will actually be like. Let's look at Section 3, the monitor case study, to see how this works in practice. This involves a major national litigation firm operating at a scale of 600 attorneys. For years, they'd been using ancient dual 17-inch monitors. They were finally ready to upgrade, preparing to drop nearly $500,000 outfitting the entire office. The IT committee narrowed it down to 2 options and sent out a perfectly polished PDF of the specs to the team. The choices were Option A, dual 24-inch flat monitors, or Option B, a single 36-inch curved monitor. Based on the spec sheets alone, an overwhelming 78% of the attorneys voted for the dual 24-inch flats. Their brains instantly fell for focalism, thinking bigger is better and 2 is better than 1. What they were totally oblivious to was the physical reality. The sheer size of putting 2 24-inch monitors side by side creates a massive physical footprint. Sitting close to that setup causes severe neck strain from constantly craning to see the edges, not to mention the jarring bezel jumps every time your eyes cross the black line between the screens. But before the purchase order was signed, the team set up a 10-minute mapping trial. They forced a pilot group to actually sit at both setups and do real work, opening a massive legal motion, checking an inbox, editing a timesheet. The result? An absolute massive preference reversal. Once they physically felt the neck strain caused by the wide footprint of the dual monitors versus the seamless uniform workspace of the curved screen, 90% shifted their vote to the 36-inch curved monitor. This is a real game changer. This simple, lived sensory preview saved the firm from a combined $698,000 in wasted spend. Because not only did it prevent them from buying monitors everyone would hate, but it also uncovered that the dual monitors would have required surprise docking station upgrades. Mapping caught the whole shebang in just 10 minutes. The stakes get even higher in Section 4, the disaster recovery case study. Let's look at a mid-sized architecture firm. Their executive team was completely enamored by a shiny vendor spreadsheet comparing a robust enterprise on-premise backup system for $2,800 a month against a mid-tier cloud contract at just $1,200 a month. The cloud option proudly advertised unlimited storage. The CFO was ready to sign immediately to save the money, completely ignoring a tiny footnote about throttled internet speeds. To prevent a catastrophic affective forecasting error, The firm's IT manager hit the brakes. She demanded a mapping test. Instead of just looking at the specs, they took their actual 42 terabyte dataset from a recent ransomware drill, uploaded a slice of it to the proposed cloud vendor, and literally hit restore while everyone in the C-suite watched. The first 30 seconds were blazing fast, but then the throttle kicked in. Watching the real-time download bar drop to a painful 180 megabytes per second crawl, the executives viscerally experienced the future. They did the math live right there in the room. Restoring that 42 terabyte dataset would take over 27 days on the cloud versus just 10 hours on premise. The CFO killed the cloud contract on the spot. Because of that reality check, when a real data deletion happened a year later, the firm recovered in hours, literally saving millions in lost business. This brings us to our final actionable takeaway in Section 5, the 300-second test. Your homework is what we call the 300-second million-dollar test. It's incredibly simple. Pick a major decision your company is about to make. Set up a high-fidelity preview of that choice. Then, force your team to spend 5 minutes doing real work in that proposed future state before you execute any major contract. Do not rely on vendor demonstrations. You have to force actual interaction. Crucially, you must document your mapping results. Record the vote before and after the test. Calculate the dollars or the hours you just saved from avoiding a terrible decision. Engage your team's new confidence level. You'll be absolutely amazed at how much smarter the final decision becomes once abstract specifications become a tangible reality. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. The incredibly valuable insights we cover today come from author Joseph Caccitolo. You can reach out to him directly via the email and LinkedIn details up on the screen to learn more about eliminating these kinds of errors and unlocking truly high-performance operations in your own business. Until next time, stay curious and hey, start mapping your future.